Well, Harmy, I must say that if Jacob Bethell is pushed any harder, he's going to be the MD of England men's cricket next month. Rob Key will be offering him his job. It is remarkable. They said that they've recognised, they've seen his leadership potential, and so he'll be 21 years and 329 days old on the day of the first T20. It's remarkable. And I'm not against it at all. We've seen his quality once again this week in the 100. Um, but for some reason, he does seem to be being pushed very hard, doesn't he?
He does manners, and he has talent. There's no question the talent's there. But I just wonder if he can drive a bus. He seems to be doing everything else. I mean, yeah, can he fly a plane, drive a bus? I mean,
Play the guitar.
I get what they're trying to do. It just seems it is probably symptomatic of this regime. The Key, McCullum, Stokes, Brook now. It is that if you ever go at us, we'll double down and go even further. And the question marks of Jacob not playing cricket, only scoring 252 runs between April the 1st and his test debut, not his test debut, but coming into the last test match, not playing any cricket. Criticism from outside, former England captains have had a go, and I've had my say saying, we've got to have these players playing cricket. It just seems as though whenever you do that, the current ECB regime just go, no, we're going to go even further. Make him captain. That's it. So you're putting pressure on the boy, which is good. I quite like. I look down the list and think, well, what is Josh Butler going to think being captained by a 21-year-old when he's the greatest white ball player that we've ever produced and going to Ireland to do that? The one that stands out for me, which I would be asking questions, is yes, Phil Salt probably was the right person to be left out of the ODI squad when, they had a little bit of a restructure, but his 2020 numbers have been, very good. And probably Phil Salt would have been earmarked as the captain of that group if it wasn't Jacob Bethell. So, look, it's an exciting young team. I really enjoyed watching Sonny Baker in this 100. And Jacob's going to get a chance to captain. He's going to have that against his name. England, one of the youngest ever England captains against Ireland. Hopefully, we haven't put too much pressure on the lad.
The youngest, yeah, not one of, the youngest. But what has been encouraging, Harmy, I suppose, is bucking the trend of England selectors over the last century or so, whereby you had to really, really earn your place, and however good you were, they did not believe in the mantra that if you're good enough, you're old enough. There was a certain reticence. There's always been a reticence about pushing youngsters, and Sonny Baker is has been pushed as well. I mean, you almost have to say that he's being fast tracked. Yes, he was impressive with the Lions, but he's now in the ODI squad against South Africa and the T20 series against Ireland. He's got a lot about him, hasn't he? You said you've enjoyed him in the 100. He took a hat trick, and he's a bit different. He's a note taker. Which is interesting in itself. A lot of injuries. And just like little quirky stories about he makes himself bone broth, drinks bone broth every day for the collagen and because he wants to avoid any further stress fractures. He's had a couple, hasn't he? Were you big into bone broth in your
No,
early years?
no, I don't even know what bone broth is, to be honest. I mean, I always thought lager and Guinness was good for bone calcium and making sure that you stayed fit because look, fast bowlers, there's a little bit of an element of luck. If you're a lucky bowler and a successful bowler, the likelihood is you miss the sort of the big injuries. You get little niggling ones, which every fast bowler gets. But if you're fortunate enough in your wherever your career is, you miss the big ones, which is the stress fractures, the big knee up the big knee operations, and obviously the back operations. If you can keep away from them, you'll have a chance. And look, this boy, I think the thing that I'm really impressed with Sonny Baker is he's bowling the big overs. That's what really enjoys me. I've really enjoyed his character. He's bowling the start overs and he's bowling the end overs. You know, you mentioned a kid in the top of the opener in Tom Curran. When Tom Curran came into the England side, when he first came in, I felt sorry for him when he went out because he had a sort of a confidence crisis a little bit. He was bowling overs at the start and overs at the death, and that is very, very difficult to do. So the thing I'm enjoying about Sonny Baker at this moment in time, he's challenging himself in such a way that he's having to think on his feet. He's having to stand up against big crowds, against big opposition, good players in the cauldron of the 100, and bowl 2 sets of 5 at the start and 2 sets of 5 at the death. That takes some doing, no matter how old you are, no matter how experienced you are, and no matter how good you are. And if you're doing that at the age you're at, and in the infancy of your career, stands you in good stead going forward, especially if you're going then into international cricket. So that's what I've really enjoyed watching Sonny Baker. He does it with aggression. He does it with a degree of, I think, a degree of, he's relaxed when he goes and does it. He looks as though he's got a springy step, a little bit like Darren Gough used to do. I don't really want to put comparisons of Gough and in this in, but when Goughy got to the end of the game, Goughy was like, "This is me. You're not better than me," and he had a spring in his step. We've all seen that chest pumped out many times in the commentary box, never mind on the field. And Goughy that was his show, that was his stage. And Sonny Baker looks as though he's got a little bit of that in him, and that for me is one of the biggest characteristics you can have, because if you can go on the field and not hide in them situations, even if it's going around the park, and you stick your chest out and say, "Give me the ball, and I'll go and bowl another Yorker, or I'll bowl another slower ball or a bouncer," to affect the game positively for my team. It seems as though he's got that, and if he has that, then the boy's got a chance to go far.
You put raw bones in a pressure cooker, Harmy, and he says that you boil them for 5 or 6 hours to get all the marrow out, and you add a bit of black pepper and a bit of carrot and celery, and he says it's not bad. So maybe you can give it a crack.
I'll give it a crack because I played 3 rounds of golf in the last 2 days. My bones are sore at this moment in time. That had nothing to do with the alcohol that went on afterward, but yeah, they're a bit sore at the minute.
Okay, a couple of other names. Tom Hartley's been a bit of a forgotten man after the Tour de India, so it's nice to see. I think he was forgotten, actually. I think he could have done with a call up a little bit earlier. And Will Jacks is back in the ODI and T20 squads. I don't know. He must wonder whether he's coming or going. Do you want me or not? He's in and out, isn't he? But I mean, we've always rated him. We've always said that that he is an international cricketer. So he's back. So there's Hartley, Will Jacks, and then what did you make about Mark Wood and Gus Atkinson? I'm not sure that about Gus Atkinson as a white ball cricketer anyway, but yeah, they're having their workload managed, aren't they, for the winter ahead?
Yeah, there's a few things in all that manners, and it's again, I mean, there's a lot of it head scratching. I'm with you. The Will Jacks one. It seemed as though Will Jacks, Sam Curran, they seem to get up somebody's nose inside the hierarchy at the ECB at the back end of not last summer, the summer before, and then they were forgetting about. They were pushed to one side. It seems as though Will Jacks is getting himself back in. I look down the list and you go, and I'm pleased to see Tom Hartley back. I think he's struggled because I think the environment he's been in has been a really struggling one in Lancashire. Lancashire, both red and white ball, have had difficult times with coaches and with the environment, and I don't think that's been a happy place, and I think that's rubbed off on some of their players. The omissions that aren't in there, who have done well during the 100, who are quality players, I don't want them to go to Ireland, but I still think the likes of Sam Curran, Liam Livingstone, and even Johnny Bairstow as a white ball cricketer have still had something to offer, because we're not looking at 4-year cycles with white ball cricket tournaments. There's we've made joke on this show many years, man, is that there seems to be a white ball tournament ICC tournament every year. So you still have to stay in the moment. And Bairstow, I think, has shown that there's still life in that. But for whatever reason, England won't pick him. The Mark Wood one's the interesting one for me. I've not seen Woody for a little bit, so I don't know. But if Mark Wood was nearly fit to play against India in the Oval Test match, then why is he not in these squads? If Mark Wood is not playing all summer, not going to play any cricket at all, and we expect him to go to Perth and be ready for the first Test match in a big Ashes series, I tell you what, you're asking far too much of the lad. You really are. I can't believe he's not in these one-day series unless he's had a setback. I don't think he's had a setback because I think the news would have broken and got out. So why is Mark Wood not playing in any of these white ball formats? Because the lad's a professional cricketer. I listen to all these football experts talk about Alexander Isak and say about him down tools for Newcastle. Mark Wood hasn't down tools, but they're talking about him. He's not playing, he's not training, he's not doing his job. Mark Wood is not, at this moment in time, he must be thinking, what am I? Am I a professional cricketer? Because at the end of the day, if he was nearly fit for the India series, then surely he's got to be in one of these squads, because you can't turn it on. As much as he's the closest thing, along with someone like Simon Jones during my time, who could just pick a ball up and within 4 balls bowl 90 mile an hour. I've never seen anybody do it like these two. And they had the injury records they've had. But if you're expecting Mark Wood not to play from maybe February or March all the way through until November the 24th or 25th when the Ashes starts, tell you what, we are asking far too much of a lad. And when he gets injured, because he will again, because he hasn't played for so long, and no matter how many times they tell me that Lions this, Lions that, he'll go out early, he'll play, he'll bowl a lot in the nets. That's nothing like bowling competitively in a match, no matter how experienced you are, leading into an Ashes series, because we need Mark Wood. We need Mark Wood just as much as Jofra Archer. And if we've not got them, then the task of winning the Ashes is going to be harder. So for all the Livingstone and the Curran and all these lot and Atkinson, I agree with you. I don't think he is a white ball bowler. But where is Mark Wood, and why is he not playing in these one-day series? Because the ECB and the England management team were telling us that he wasn't far away from playing in the last Test match against India. You can't, they're not robots. You can't just turn it on. He'll need some competitive overs under his belt. We've seen that sometimes during this India series, that when the bowlers go in with no competitive overs, you are asking them, a hell of a lot.
Delighted to say that, as promised at the top of the show, we're joined by Liam Livingstone live, and captaining the Birmingham Phoenix. Of course, he's been in tremendous form after losing their first 2 games. They've now won 2 of the last 3, and are part of the logjam. Just 4 points between the top 7 teams. Tremendous for the competition. Liam, 69 not out, 46 and 45, strike rate of about 200. You're obviously seeing it and hitting it very, very well at the moment.
Yeah, it's been really nice. Obviously, coming into the summer, I was hoping for a big tournament. I felt like I was playing really well for Lancashire coming in. I picked up an injury towards the end of the Blast, which was quite annoying, but thankfully it settled down quite nicely. And I've been playing really nicely. I've been enjoying myself. I've enjoyed the extra responsibility of being captain as well at the Phoenix. And like you said, I think the tournament's perfectly set up for a lot of teams. Like you said, it's pretty tight at the top of the table, and hopefully over the next couple of days we can work our way up that table.
Yeah, talk about the sort of the competition in a bit, but you as captain, Liam, I was with you a few months ago, last month at Lords. You talk about sort of having responsibility. You as captain, you've gone on a decent run. You're 2 from 3 in the last 3. You've beat the Oval Invincibles, who have been probably head and shoulders so far in the 100 and in the history of the 100, the best side. And you as a captain going out and scoring runs, it must be a great place to be at that Birmingham Phoenix at this moment in time.
Yeah, I think that's been the frustrating thing for us is on paper, we feel like we've got pretty much every angle covered. We probably just haven't performed to our best in probably all three facets of the game, to be perfectly honest. So yeah, we feel like we've still got a lot of improvement in us, which yeah, I think we showed last night. We probably put all three together for the first time in the tournament last night, and it probably showed what a good team we are. So yeah, it's probably been a little bit frustrating for us as a squad, sort of the first 4 or 5 games. But yeah, like I said, we're still in there. We've still got a chance to make the finals, and hopefully we can make a run now and take some confidence from the performance last night, and hopefully run with that and finish the tournament in the right way and take some momentum. Hopefully reach the finals. And yeah, I think we know we've pretty much got to win 5 games to win the tournament, so it's quite easy for us to look that way.
Liam, we have a tendency not to bestow the term greatness on, current players, particularly young players. But I think it's fair to say that Rashid Khan is a great of the shortest format. He's just a great bowler, and it's not often that he gets taken to the cleaners. But you destroyed him. Was that that doesn't happen very often? Was that predetermined, or did that just happen in the moment?
Do you know what? He's obviously been an incredible bowler in T20 cricket for many years now. But I actually have a decent record against him. So I have a lot of confidence in playing against him. I had a really good game against him in the IPL a few months ago. And coming into that game, he was probably their bowler that I would try to have taken on, just through having confidence in done well against him before. So um, yeah, obviously he's a great of the modern game. He's been probably the best bowler in the world in T20 cricket for a number of years now. So it's always nice to get one over on him. I love playing against him actually because he plays the game in such a great spirit. Yeah, we both sort of have a bit of a laugh together. He knows he's trying to hit my stumps, and I'm going to try and slug across the line and try and hit him for 6. So it's always a great battle against him. He wants wickets, and I want to try and take him down. So yeah, over the last sort of 12 months, we've had some good battles, and thankfully I've come out on top on a few of them. So no, especially the other night, I think the situation of the game, the situation of the tournament. That's probably what I'm most pleased about is the fact that I was there at the end to see the team home. And yeah, at the start of the tournament as captain, that's something that I wanted to try and do, to try and lead from the front. Yeah, with my actions more than anything. So hopefully I've done that so far, and hopefully I can continue to do that.
Liam, you talked there about the sort of T20 game and obviously the 100 this year. What have you made of the 100 this year? I say when we spoke at Lords, you were so enthusiastic about the 100. I've not exactly been waving flags and blowing whistles about the format of this competition. But this year again, my bugbear of it is you played a huge amount of franchise cricket. Can you put your finger on why there's been so many sort of one-sided games? I looked down even this week. There's been 10 games this week. A game's been won by 80 runs, 50 runs, 35 runs. There's a game won with 35 balls to spare. And I mean, that's just this week. Can you, as an experienced cricketer, understand or put your finger on why there's been so little tight games of cricket?
Yeah, I get your point that everybody, certainly me, I don't know why I don't really watch a lot of cricket, but certainly at home, during this period, I always have the 100 on every night. I really enjoy watching it. I think it's a I think there's little things of it that are really good. Being able to face 10 balls in a row is a great thing as a player. Um, but yeah, to answer your question I don't really know why there isn't that many tight games, because I think you look when you go to the IPL, it feels like 1 in every 2 games is really tight. But yeah, I think all I can say about it is certainly going and playing in this tournament. It's my favorite month of the year. I absolutely love it. You turn up to grounds in England and they're pretty much full every game that we play, which is something we haven't been able to do with domestic cricket for a long while. And we turn up and there's kids wearing shirts, there's families there. It's a very different group of people that are coming to watch us play cricket as opposed to what we usually get in the T20 Blast, for example. So Yeah, certainly as a competition, I absolutely love the way it's set up. I love the 100 balls. I don't know why. I can't put my finger on it. It feels like it goes by in a flash. I feel like it's a really fun game to be a part of, certainly playing and probably as a spectator when I sit at home at night and watch it as well. Yeah, but I don't really know why. It's only 20 balls difference to a T20, but I feel like it's just something a little bit different, and I certainly really enjoy playing in it. But yeah, I certainly think that yeah, to get a few more people on side, I think you need a few more tighter games and tighter finishes, which is what people really enjoy watching.
Sounds like you're saying there are less beer snakes in the crowd, Liam.
You can't have them these days, anyways, can you? The stewards are straight up there and
Yeah, the
take them
fun
off them
police pop in,
anyways.
don't they?
I know, yeah, like the beer snakes are going to be so dangerous. So yeah, you sometimes see that in the crowd actually.
Liam, uh, when people see you bat like you have been recently, the sort of head scratching befuddlement as to why you're not been named in any of the England squads. Is there still good communication? I mean, is there a sense that just try a few different names, or is there? I mean, you captained England not so long ago.
Yeah, yeah, I did, and I actually really enjoyed it and thought I did a pretty decent job at doing it. Obviously, I didn't have a great series in India and Pakistan, and yeah, I hold my hand up. I wasn't good enough out there, but I probably wasn't the only one that didn't have a great series as well. And then yeah, I got a phone call from Baz during the IPL to tell me that I'd been dropped from both squads, and unfortunately, that was the last time I heard anything from any of the top four people in charge, with Righty, Keezy, Baz, and Brookie. I haven't had a single word since. So yeah, I don't know where I stand with England, to be honest. I feel like the frustrating part for me is I feel like I've got my best cricket ahead of me. I absolutely love playing for England. It's probably been the most enjoyable part of playing cricket. Representing your country with three lions on your chest is obviously something you want to do as a little kid, and nothing makes me more prouder than being able to represent my country. And especially at my age now, I feel like this is where people start to really come into their prime as a batter. You look at Joss over the last few years, and I feel like coming into a World Cup year, I feel like I could really help an England team go a long way to winning a World Cup. And yeah, that's probably the little bit of frustrating thing for me is I would love to help. I would love to play for England. I feel like I'm still good enough to play for England. But yeah, like I said, I haven't had a single word since halfway through the IPL. So I don't really know where I stand, to be honest. But yeah, all I can do is keep enjoying my cricket, keep playing cricket with a smile on my face. That's certainly when I've been playing at my best. And I probably feel like right now I'm playing as well as I ever have done in my whole career. So yeah, who knows? All I can keep doing is keep trying to take wickets and score runs and see what happens. Unfortunately, I'm just a player. I'm not a selector or a coach. I can't worry about that sort of stuff too much. It's my job to just go out on the pitch and do as well as I can.
Liam, is there I mean, it's hard to put this how I really want it from a frustrating point of view, because you touched on some of the elements of it, but it's like when you've been given responsibility in your career, and Manners will tell you, I mean, I've been a big critic of yours in times, and I've told you that to your face. But when you've been given responsibility, i.e., you got captain of the team, you did a very, very good job. You got asked to bat number 4 because a lot of the other players weren't playing. You got 100 for England, and did a very, very good job. You're now captain of the Phoenix, and they're going well. Responsibility seems to lie very, very well on your shoulders. When not say the big guns, but other players come back, you then get shunted down to 7 and number 8 in times. You have to play accordingly that way. Have you spoke to anybody about saying, look, if you give me the responsibility, I will perform the way I want to perform, rather than the sort of the bowler that bats at number 7 and has to sort of slog it from ball 1 and sometimes gets out in these ways? Has nobody spoke to you about the responsibility? Because for me, that level of responsibility you've had in the last however many times, you've thrived with that. But then you seem to get shunted when other people come back.
Yeah, that's probably been one of my biggest frustrations is actually whenever I've gone up the order, I've actually done really well for England. And yeah, like people, I don't know, maybe my versatility has probably been against me a little bit. Being able to come in further down the order and hit sixes from ball one is obviously um, not something that a lot of people can do. But yeah, certainly the way I feel like I've gone in my England career, I don't know the stats exactly, but I feel like the further up the order I've batted, the better my stats would be. Um, and it's something I've really enjoyed. I feel like I'm a batter that can go on and win games for whoever I'm playing for, not necessarily a slogger down the order that can come in and um, come off every now and then. I feel like I've got more game than that, to be honest. But yeah, like I said, yeah, the more responsibility I've had in my career, the better I've done, and yeah, I've really enjoyed the responsibility whenever I've been given it. I feel like last year in the West Indies, I did the same, even during the summer. If I look back, and there was a game against Australia when I got 90 odd chasing down a total there. I think back to Lords when I took down Mitchell Stark in the last over there. So I feel like over the last 12 months, I have done a lot right in an England shirt, but I hold my hands up and I completely agree that India and Pakistan was a bit of a disaster tournament and series for me. Um, but yeah, like I think everybody goes through them sort of stages in their career where not everybody performs as well as they can over an extended period. So yeah, certainly since I came back from the IPL, yeah, I've kind of just sort of taken a step back a little bit, done a little bit of work on my game, which I haven't been able to do for a long while because you're just forever playing cricket. And I felt like whilst I was with England, I got dropped at the start of last summer. So I felt like I was forever sort of treading on a tightrope. And to be able to sort of show that vulnerability to step back and sort of work on your game was a pretty hard thing for me to do at the time. So yeah, the natural sort of break in that it gave me after the IPL, I got injured during the T20 Blast when I felt like things were sort of going really well for me, and sort of seeing that as an opportunity to improve my game, to get better. I know I still need to get better and keep improving, but I feel like I've done that in a pretty quick space of time over this summer. So yeah, in answer to your question, I've loved the extra responsibility whenever I've had it, and certainly. I feel like I'm thriving on it at the moment with the Phoenix, and hopefully that can continue whatever cricket's ahead. Whether, yeah, like I said before, I don't know whether the England opportunity will ever come again. I don't really know how that's going to work, but yeah, if it's not with England, I'm sure a lot of franchises will benefit for it over the next couple of years.
It'll be amazing if it doesn't come again, Liam. But you know, apart from senior and experienced players being discarded, there's also a move, it seems, in the new England regime to push young and inexperienced players very, very hard. And I wondered what you thought about Jacob Bethell. You shared a change room with him, obviously, and being appointed as England's youngest ever captain. That's that Harmy and I certainly found our eyebrows being raised by by that appointment.
Yeah, look, Jacob's a very young kid, but he has got a very old head on very young shoulders. I love being around Jacob. He's a great lad to play with. He's got an incredible work ethic, and yeah, he does everything in the right way. And I think that they've probably seen something in him that they think maybe a future captain is in there. The only thing for Jacob at the moment is he's had a pretty difficult summer. He's coming out of it, I think, the other end. He's played brilliantly the last two games. And yeah, I guess I've actually probably been in the middle with Jacob more than anyone else over the last couple of years, certainly playing for England and then with the Phoenix as well. And it's been great to see his development. He's developing at a very quick rate. but yeah, sometimes we do need to remember that he's only 21. He's still a young kid. He's got a lot to learn. But I think everybody in English cricket knows how high his ceiling is and how good of a cricketer he is going to be. But I think the thing that we just need to remember is he is 21, and he's got to learn a lot of learning and development to do.
Yeah, well said. Just finally from me, Liam, you've mentioned how well you did for Lancashire at the start of the blast. The restructure, I mean, the restructures, I'm not even going to go into it because it's laughable, some of the stuff that's come out. But one of the things that has come out is, I mean, 2 less games for every team. You're going to play more regionalised, you know, a lot more derbies that you're in on with Yorkshire and Durham and people like that. Do you think that's better for the T20 Blast, that it has been reduced to like games very, very close to each county? So there's a lot more, hopefully a lot more crowds coming, a lot more derbies involved in exciting cricket.
Yeah, I do get that. I don't exactly know how it's going to work, but I think the other 3 teams, apart from your 2 derbies within your little 3, are going to change every year, aren't they?
Every year, yeah.
So I think at some point we'll end up with Sussex, Hampshire, and whatever on the south coast, which
It could be worse. Durham could be going there.
yeah, exactly. Durham will have to take a plane, I think. So that's the only thing is 3 years down the line when you've got the southern teams in your group and you're making trips down there. I'm guessing they're going to make, if we end up with Sussex, Essex, and Hampshire or something in the same group, I'm guessing you'll play all 3 of them on the road at once and come back up. Otherwise, it kind of defeats the object of the travel
ECB and
that's
common sense,
involved.
though, Liam. ECB
I
and common
know,
sense. Come
I
on.
know. So
I can
yeah,
see it, you can't.
what the biggest thing that I thought we needed is just, at the moment there's so much cricket that the time to really rest and get your body up to 100%, especially for seamers, to make sure that we're playing the best cricket we can possibly play every time we walk out on that pitch, and not just clinging on to fitness and trying to get through game after game after game, which doesn't do anybody any good because it's no good for the player and it's probably no good for the spectator either, who's not getting the best out of every player that's out on that pitch. So the idea for me would, if we'd have lost 2 championship games, it wouldn't have been a huge thing because there's still 12 games of county championship cricket. But you probably get the extra 2 weeks within the schedule, which allows a bit more time for rest, a bit more time for some gym work and stuff for bowlers, but also a bit more time for training, for developing games and stuff like that, which you don't necessarily get in county cricket, because I think that every time you bat or every time you bat in a net, it's before a game, it's in the morning of a championship game, or it's the day before a T20 game when you've travelled there after playing a championship game. So yeah, sometimes you need just a little bit of a couple of days here and there to rest up, to maybe do a bit of work on your game and whatever it is. But I see it from both sides. I know people want as much cricket as we can get in the summer, and we've got big squads and we can rotate players and stuff like that. But I think if there's a little bit of give from both sides, I feel like there's a very happy medium to be had there, and hopefully we get there in the end.
Birmingham Phoenix captain, England and Lancashire all-rounder Liam Livingstone. Just before we break, Harmy, many interesting things that he said. Did it strike you that, I mean, I don't know how much of a duty of care there is when you get dropped. I mean, you know, people say it's a tough game, but when you know you're doing well. I mean, he just seemed a bit lost, really, didn't he? He seemed a bit like he needed, if not an arm round the shoulder, a phone call from someone to tell him where he stands.
Reassurance. Yeah, I get that. I mean, like I said to him there, I've been one of his biggest critics, but I love the boy. I think his talent is very, very high. And sometimes you get challenged, whether England are pushing him to one side, leaving him for a little bit, see how he goes, and then possibly bring him back in. We must have a very, very good white ball side if that lad's not playing. It was a brilliant interview, very honest, very open. Said it how it is, and I think he's like that as a character. If anybody thinks He's trying to say something because he hasn't been spoken to by and feel sorry for himself. No, he's not. He's just telling you exactly how the timeline has gone. From England's point of view, they might just be thinking, well, we'll just leave him for a little bit, see where the level of responsibility at IPL, at other franchises, at captain in Birmingham Phoenix. I think if he goes on and wins the 5 games that he talks about, and he lifts the trophy for Birmingham Phoenix, I think he comes back into the England squad, because we have seen when he's been given responsibility, I think he thrives on it. And I just think sometimes there are people that need managing differently. And I think Liam Livingstone is one of these characters that needs managing. Just not a problem character at all. He's not. But he's a character, I think, who just needs a little bit of reinsurance all the time, pumping his tires up, going telling him he's the best that at what he does, and he is. He's not a glorified slogger that bats number 7 and number 8, which I think he's been used as sometimes. He is a proper player. And I think if he's given the responsibility higher up the order, I think he will thrive off it. And I think that's possibly what the ECB hierarchy are learning right now. So brilliant interview. Good to see him speak. Great to see the way he's playing at this moment in time, winning the IPL and on the crest of a wave. And hopefully from a Phoenix point of view and from Liam's point of view, he wins the 100, because I think it will be not a 2 fingers to the ECB, but I think it will be a little bit of a lesson learned from the ECB, how you treat Liam Livingstone. He was honest. He didn't have a very good India or Pakistan, but there's still, for me, a huge amount of international cricket left in that lad.
You're listening to Following On with me, Neil Manthorp, along with former England fast bowler Steve Harmison. And if you have missed any of the show and you want to catch up, you know what to do now. You can download the podcast from the Following On feed, available via the free talkSPORT app or wherever you get your podcasts. And I'm delighted to say, as promised at the top of the show, we're joined by I was going to say former Australia opener, but he that implies that he's not going to open for them again, but he may well do that. But he is at the moment in raspingly good form for Gloucestershire, who've won their first 5 games in the One Day Cup. Cam, thank you very much indeed for your time. A little bird tells me that you took a two days off to pop to Ibiza to freshen yourself up for the One Day Cup.
Yeah, I'm not sure how that word's got out, but yeah, I was there earlier in the week. Yeah, was tempted to go back again this week with a 4-day break, but no, it was yeah, nice to have a little freshen up and change of scenery.
I mean, obviously, Gloucester off to a fantastic start in this competition. What's the formula with that? I mean, you're 5 from 5. Looks as though you're going to get quarter-final spot and a home draw easily. The success down in the West Country at this moment, because you've done all right in the Championship as well.
Yeah, I think we were, obviously, coming off the blast. I think we were all like quite disappointed as a group with how that tournament sort of panned out for us. So I think coming into the Metro Bank, we were really keen just to compete really strongly, and we got a lot of belief in our group. We got a lot of experience in our group, and it's actually just about getting out there and really backing yourselves, playing positively, and I think we've really put that into action so far, which has been great. John Lewis, he's been sort of part of our group for this portions of the season, but especially the first 5 games here. He did talk about us, sort of showing that presence a little bit in our 50 over cricket, and it's been nice to be able to I guess put it into play. So yeah, we've played well. Hopefully we can keep it going.
Cam, how would you rate the One Day Cup? I mean, it's developed a really loyal following. There are those who say that that it's been reduced to a I don't know, like a second 11 sort of competition. But actually, it's exciting seeing young players come through under the tutelage and guidance of some senior pros like yourself. I mean, it's the crowds have been pretty good, and whereas people thought that it might be killed off being played alongside the 100, the opposite seems to have happened. Is that your impression?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. we played a day night game on Friday against Glamorgan, and we had an excellent crowd. You know, there was good noise. Yeah, good support there, and you know, that's also been the same for for some other matches that we've played. So yeah, I think a lot of teams have got some really good cricketers, and yeah, it's a tough competition. Like, I think anyone can beat anyone on their day. And you know, 50 over cricket brings about some really different elements that that are also really exciting. So yeah, the fans, they seem to really enjoy it, and I think we really enjoy playing it. So yeah, I think it's good comp, and it's been supported really well.
Cam, you're a sort of seasoned veteran now of English cricket. You've played quite a lot of county cricket at the different spectrums at clubs at the top end of the first division with like Somerset and Durham, and teams that have a little bit more of a struggle financially, down in Gloucester. What's your take on what's happening with English cricket? Because it's got its negative comments from probably people in the ECB about where its relevance is in the world of development from a cricket point of view, but also people seem to want to change the structure all the time. You've played a lot of county cricket. Why do you enjoy it? Why do you keep coming over? And what's your sort of take on what people from the outside want to, obviously from a higher up, wants to do with it?
That's a good question. I mean, I would get going back if I didn't love it. I think cricket's supported really well over here. I think, compared to Australia, you actually get really good support to games. And I think as a player, obviously experiencing, Australia as well, that's a really nice thing. And yeah, I think it's a strength of county cricket that's quite underpinning. And I remember playing at Somerset a couple of 4 days. You play there, and like you're playing midweek, and you're still getting like 1,000 people to come and watch the game there. Like that's pretty incredible for 4-day cricket. So I think it shows that there's something special about county cricket in that way. And it's just I mean, often people ask me, what's the standard like, and comparing to Australia, like it really is incomparable. I find, the conditions are so different over here. And obviously, like, as having 18 clubs as well, obviously the talent gets stretched, a lot across those 18 clubs. But even still, like amongst that, you do see a lot more talented young players get exposed. And I think that can be a positive thing. And I think you've probably seen that within the England setup, the ability for, England not to be, afraid to select someone like a Josh Hull or, someone like that, and because he's able to get exposure to playing some games in county cricket. So, yeah, I think that's the exciting thing about the comp. The schedule's obviously very unique too. We talked about that. Yeah, it's a lot of cricket over here. It does take definitely wear and tear on the body. And yeah, I think revising that is probably a wise thing, for the long-term view of the game. But it's also, I think, what makes, county cricket really unique as well. So finding that right balance is the key. I'd see the schedule came out, didn't it, for the T20 Blast next year. I think that could be like a really exciting thing as well. And there's obviously been some reviews on 4-day cricket too, and I'm sure that'll be done in due diligence. But yeah, overall, it's really enjoyable. It's great development for your game, and I think that's it's a great thing for for fans and for county cricket as a whole.
It's I think 95 days before the first Ashes test, and much talk about Australia's top 3. Many names being mentioned, like who's going to bat alongside Usman Khawaja, who of course himself is 38, I think. Several of the candidates are in their 30s. Your name is still being mentioned from time to time, maybe not as much as it used to. Are you still, well, first of all, talk to us about the Australian top 3, and are you still Are you still hopeful that you'll get another crack?
Yeah, I obviously I think probably batting in the top three firstly isn't an easy place to bat. And yeah, no doubt there's been some challenges in matches and stuff over the last period of time. That I think everyone in the order's probably experienced, but no doubt as a top three batter, you taste a lot more intensely when the bowls are fresher, the ball's newer. That's sort of part and parcel of the job. So yeah, no shying away from that being a fact. And yeah, I'm sure there's lots of learnings. Obviously, there's a lot of digging deep into improvement and what that sort of looks like. So yeah, that's definitely been, I think, the case. Obviously at that level, and you yeah, that's definitely the case. Sort of no matter what's sort of going on. And yeah, like I'm enjoying my cricket. I reckon every season of my career at the start of the summer, I reckon the same conversation sort of pops up. And if selected, then of course I would. But yeah, I'm just it's we go again.
So what you're saying is get the Gloucester stuff out the way, go home, score a few runs, and listen to my name. It's one of the two or three candidates to start this. You mentioned there, I mean, how hard it is now. Top three. England have got that problem. I think quite a lot of countries have had that problem. In Australia, is there a difference to the surfaces? Because we hear the surfaces are a little bit different last year compared to what I played on absolute flat belters with a Kookaburra ball, which goes, I mean, completely like the dogs chewed it after about 10 overs. It just seems as though there's been a lot of talk of that ball being a little bit more durable and the wickets having a little bit more in it. Is that what's making the top three a little bit harder to sort of fulfill their skills?
Yeah, like 100%. I mean, like, even if you look back and, sort of reflect on in the past and, some of those wickets and games and things like that, a lot of the wickets were white, and, obviously the sort of grass coverage that you have on pitches that have that sort of appearance, like it's, I guess logically there couldn't be, the ball would behave differently, wouldn't it? So, now in Australia, and I think in WA especially, we've probably been a little bit part of creating that. Like we had a bowling attack, for a long time where we did struggle to take 20 wickets and to win games. Winning the Sheffield Shield and obviously is just the pinnacle of domestic cricket in Australia. And yeah, we did start to produce those sorts of pitches for that reason, to try and get results. And we were really successful at it. We trusted and invested in improving our skills as a batting unit to play better in those sorts of conditions. And I think a little bit that mentality has probably flowed on into other states, into our whole sort of competition. And now, particularly as a top order player, you sort of know that you're going to have to face those conditions. And I mean, it's good for your development, but also the polarity of that is the fact that you're going to fail and you're going to get out. Like that sort of part and parcel of playing in that sort of role. So I think in Australia, there's a lot more grass, there is a lot more challenge in that respect. But I guess that's that's the present moment, and we've got to try and find a way to be successful in.
You mentioned WA, just finally from me, first test match is in Perth, not at the Wacker. Just give us a little sample size from obviously your home conditions, what that first test match will look like, from the arena to the surface to the atmosphere.
Yep. I mean, firstly, Perth Stadium it's a beautiful venue for cricket. Over the years, I think we've seen it's really well supported in Perth. So no doubt the days have been sold out there. I think it probably holds like 50,000, 55,000. So that'll be really exciting, that atmosphere. And the wicket there is really quick and bouncy. It's a drop-in wicket. A lot of the sort of main test grounds in Australia now are dropping wickets because of AFL football. But even despite that, it sort of holds that characteristics that you sort of associate with Western Australia still. So yeah, that'll be really exciting. I think it's a nice place to start the series. It'll be really challenging. No doubt for both teams. They'll be red hot coming out of the blocks as hard as they can. But yeah, exciting place to start, and yeah, can't wait to see it all unfold.
Right, let's talk county schedules, Harmy. I confess I'm not completely got my head round all the changes, but I've got a rough idea. The Vitality Blast has dropped a couple of games. Counties will play 12 games now. There are 3 groups, regional groups, rather than 2 groups of 9. And is it a bit more than tinkering? I mean, does the reduction by 2 games mean very much? Will players be going, oh, thank goodness for that?
I don't think they're going to Ibiza like Cameron Bancroft has gone in the little break that they've got, that he's had in the successful Gloucester season. But it just seems, I mean, again, keep having a go at the ECB. There's got to be an adult in the room somewhere to go, come on, let's get our heads in gear here. Let's engage our brains to make what's best for English cricket. We've sold 100, the self-preservation of, we've given you a lot of money. Let's get the structure right, and then let's move on and get less noise. It seems as though we talk about the structure every year. They have done since I first started playing over 20 years ago. And the 18 adults in the room that's come to the conclusion that their players are telling them we play too much cricket. The schedule is all wrong. The way that we look at domestic cricket, especially from the ECB's point of view, who they look down on it and they don't really like it. And I can see why in some places. And we've gone, right, we need to get a radical change of making sure that English county cricket survives for the next however many years. And we've gone, well, we'll just play two less T20 games. We'll take 40 overs off everybody, and that should suit everybody's. And I mean, it just doesn't make sense at all. It really doesn't. I mean, how they've gotten to this point with 18 very, very well-educated chairmen or, custodians of their clubs to get to this point, I've got no idea. I mean, 14 championship games. I like the 14 games. I like the 16 games because everybody played each other twice. Well, they've got to come up with something that works, something that's fair. This moment in time, you've got 14 championship games where in a league basis, you don't play each other twice. You play some teams twice. The T21 I played in the old Benson and Hedges competition, start of the year, where you played the regional games, the five closest venues to yourselves, and that works. How long it works for, I'm not so sure. How fair it is, I'm not so sure, because if you're constantly going to play the same team, and I know there's talk about tweaking it a little bit, that group 2 teams from each group would move around year upon year. But if you're in the next 5 years, if you play the same sides all the time in T20 Blast, you're going to come up, if you're one of the littler counties, you're always coming up against the very biggest counties. Then I mean, that for me, that needs to be looked at. I think it's a good stopgap, but I think the whole schedule just needs not ripped up and started again. But I don't think we're far away from just completely ripping it up and having some drastic action with English county cricket, because we've heard from an Australian talk about county cricket and what makes it unique, and it is unique. And I think the structure, and the model of playing games in England, counties play a lot of games, players play a lot of cricket. That's been the norm for hundreds of years. That still needs to be the same, because that's what makes this competition so great. English summer's so great, but they've got to get a fine balance, and they've got to get a balance between what's right for the players and what's right for the counties. And at this minute in time, I don't think it's either.
Well, a decision on the county championship is yet to be made, but hopefully our regular listeners don't need to be reminded of how many times we've had overseas coaches and players on this show. Mickey Arthur comes to mind. How many times has he sat in front of us and said, the county championship is the best first class tournament in the world. The English county cricket is magnificent. It's underappreciated by those who govern it, and perhaps even those who play in it. And it's worth remembering. Just quickly, there will also be 12 games in the Women's T20 Blast. Each county will play 6 games home and away, playing 4 counties twice and 4 counties once. The Women's One Day Cup will increase to 16 matches from 14, with a shift to an eliminator rather than 2 semi-finals. Does the thought come to mind, Harmy, that those tasked with forming the committee to review the championship or the season have finished their meeting and said, well, guys, we've got to do something. We can't just walk out of here and say, it's fine. I mean, they're just little tweaks here and there, a couple of matches here, a couple of matches there. I mean, I'm happy that the women are playing more.
Yeah, and I think the women should be happier that they're playing more, because at this moment in time in English cricket, domestically, the women seems to be thriving more than what the men's is. And that's across the board. You know, we've hardly mentioned the 100. And that, obviously, that's the elephant in the room, which is not going away. It's paying what should be paying for a lot of things, decision-making from county cricket to make it easier for supporters, for players, for staffs. And like you said, you know, we've got to change it somehow. So let's just do a little tweak, because really we've got no idea what the current structure should look like to appease everybody. And I think that's the problem. There's a lot of stakeholders here who have got far too much stake in their own corners, as opposed to go, do you know what? The best thing for English cricket would look like this. In that, it needs somebody, I think, from higher up to possibly try and take control, wrestle control from the counties and say, this is what English county cricket should look like to make young players come through and thrive. Yeah, still have the volume of senior players, educating these young players, because no matter how ECB, Rob Key, Brendan McCullum looks down on county cricket, your next player from the 100 is going to come from the Metro Back 50 competition. Your next player for the England Test match team to possibly win the Ashes for you is going to come from the county championship. And that, for me, should be the starting point in any negotiation with the 18 first-class counties. And until we get to that point, we're going to go round in circles, and we're going to take 20 overs off here and 20 overs off there. And everybody's going to go, I'm happy, I'm not happy. And it's a vicious circle. Unfortunately, it's been like that for the 25 years I've been involved in English cricket.
And there are more circles to be gone round, Harmy. There are more circles. As you say, somebody needs to hammer a square through the round hole. Okay, there's another story that caught my eye. The BCCI, which often likes to be at the forefront of innovation and change, have introduced a serious injury replacement rule in their domestic first-class games, coming into effect from next year. The Dulip Trophy, as well as the Ranji Trophy, will have the ability to allow teams to have a fully playing substitute in the event of serious injury. They have not, however, defined how they will define a serious injury, which lies at the heart of the problem, doesn't it? I mean, yes, a dislocated shoulder and a broken foot are serious injuries, and nobody would dispute that. They cited the example of Rishabh Pant in the Test series, hobbling out to bat with a broken foot. But what they haven't said is when is a hamstring injury a serious injury? When is a muscle strain when is an intercostal serious enough to warrant a replacement? And that lies at the heart of the whole problem, doesn't it? I mean, we're talking about it at international level, and you said several times yourself, and Ben Stokes has said, it's just absolutely open to abuse. Is it, if you have a hamstring grade 1 tear, you have to carry on. If you have a grade 2 tear, you get a replacement. I mean, it comes down to analysing MRI scans, doesn't it?
It does. It comes down to analysing, scans and X-rays, and like our great captain said, You know, after 3 days in the field, after 2 days in the field and a day batting, you could stick anybody in an MRI scanner and something will be there to get a replacement. So, I mean, again, I can see what the BCCI are doing. I think the one where it's at this moment in time, I think is good enough. Yeah, a head injury. Completely agree. Personal circumstances, family bereavements, things like that. We should have a substitute. We should have, for an act of God, we should have a substitute. For everything else, if you have a hamstring injury, it means you've come into it means not knowing, you might not be fully aware, but not knowing you're going into a 5-day game or a 4-day game with areas of your body within that of weakness. And that for me is the risk you run coming into it. So you're basically saying, right, we've got a 50-50 decision on a bowler. This is where the health comes into it from a player's point of view. You've got a 50-50 decision on a bowler being fit. And you go, right, he is too good for us not to play. So we're going to play him in the first innings. We'll see if we can get him to bowl 2 spells at sort of 90 plus miles an hour. He gets 3 or 4 wickets, but he gets injured. We knew he was coming into the game with an injury. We've now got a replacement. So we've got somebody else to come in the second innings. Things like that are abuse. You know, so abusive of and the grey areas of the rules. So not for me. No, and as much as like the BCCI do quite regularly, that if you go one way, i.e. what Ben Stokes said, they're going to go the other way. And they're going to make sure that it's going to come into force. And they're going to look at you and go, no matter what you say, England captain, we run this game, not just in India, but in the world. And if we want a substitute to happen, we're going to do it. And that's what we're going to do in our domestic cricket. And within 3 years, it'll be an international cricket because BCCI run the show.